Hi, I'm Tina Ann Middleton, author of the Forcefield series. I'd like to welcome you today to the Writing Journey, where we inspire and encourage each other in the craft of writing. Today we'll be talking about those times when you're just too tired to write. We'll be right back. You know, writing is a wonderful way to be creative and to share the stories in our heart and our mind. And let's face it though, sometimes life just gets in the way. Things happen that keep us from writing. I'm going to talk about a few of those today. This one was actually inspired by a week when I was just worn out. So that's going to be the first thing. Sometimes we're just too tired. Maybe it's because of our job. I was, the week I wrote this, I was worn out. We had been short of clerks where I work. It had been a busy, busy week. Even if we had had everybody there, it would have been busy. So when I got home from work, I was wiped out. I might think about writing, and that's all I did. I didn't do it. Sometimes it may be because of family obligations. This would especially apply to those of you who maybe still have young children in the home, or maybe you're a caregiver for an elderly relative, or for somebody who has a chronic severe illness. And you have one of those days, one of those weeks where you just couldn't do anything except take care of your family. There could be other obligations. Perhaps you're very active in your church and you've had one of those weeks, one of those months where it seems like just about every day you have to be gone taking care of other things. Not enough sleep. Yeah, that'll make you tired right there. Our bodies need a certain amount of sleep. It varies from person to person. I'm more of a 7 to 8 hours kind of person. I need at least 7 hours. If it's good quality sleep, 6 hours can do in a pinch, but I need my 7 or 8 hours. Well, guess what? During the work week, I don't get it. That's why I play catch up on the weekends or on holidays, because no matter how hard I try, it seems like we don't get to bed and to sleep before 11 o'clock. And we get up at 5:20. That alarm is one of the rudest sounds I've ever heard. And you combine that with some of those other things, yeah, you're going to be wiped out. I know I was, and have been before. Maybe you got to bed on time, but you have poor sleep, pain issues, your mind is racing because you're thinking about something. Maybe you played Candy Crush until right before you went to bed, and now your mind won't wind down. So, poor sleep, that means you're actually winding up with not enough sleep. What can we do? Now, all of these things I'm going to mention, they're easier said than done, but let's try. Leave work at work. Once you have left your job for the day, try not to bring its problems and drama home with you. Now, I understand there may be some people, because of the nature of work you do, you bring some work home with you. Maybe what you'll have to do is set aside a chunk of time, say, this is my work time. And then when that's over, it's over for the rest of the day. For those of us who don't bring that home, once we walk out the door, that's it. Let it be it. I'll try that if you will, okay? How about getting your family to help? You know, I said that about family can be part of why you're too tired. Housework can be part of that too. If you've got a whole lot of cleaning to do and you're having to do that all the time, which generally is what happens if you want a clean house, but that can be pretty tiring depending on the housekeeping chore. Maybe it's something that doesn't have to be done all the time, but when you do it, it's a big task. Get other family members to help. Now, I can hear some of you roaring with laughter and see you rolling on the floor. My family? Help? Ha! Try explaining to them, hey, this is wearing me out. I need help. And then give them something to do and try not to micromanage. They might not do it just the way that you would, but let them, if they're going to help, give it to them and let them help. And see if that'll make it more manageable for you. Now, I'm saying that as our daughters got older, we taught them how to do certain housekeeping chores. I will admit there were times they were more interested in hurrying up and get it done so they could get back to something more important to them, like video games or television. But they did do it. They knew how. My husband is wonderful because, husbands, please don't hate him for this, but Darren knows how to do housekeeping chores as well as I do, and probably better. So I don't have to beg him to pick up his socks or to do his own laundry. He does it himself. It's shared. Same thing with dishes or cooking. Okay, I'm going to admit my husband does more cooking than I do. And he's probably a better cook than I am. But housekeeping, get help from the family. Or if you have young children and then you have some that are older, recruit the older ones to help entertain the younger ones. Things like that. Prioritize those obligations, you know, those social obligations, especially with things like church. Don't we tend to take on more than we really should? They say, we need a volunteer for. I'll do it. Prioritize. Where do you feel God really wants you? Where did you volunteer, maybe out of guilt? Or just because you felt like, well, that's something I can do. Take a look at your obligations, whether it's church, civic, whatever it is that you're involved with. You might have to whittle it down to just a few that are very meaningful to you and let the others go. That's where we all have to learn that short, powerful word, no. What needs to stay, though? Those things, again, like I said, that are most meaningful to you. You know, you don't want to just give up everything and live like a hermit. Well, some of you might want to, but a lot of us, you know, we want to still be involved. But let's be careful not to take on more than we can handle. I remember years ago, I did that at a church. I kept taking stuff on. I got worn out. And when my husband and I moved to another church, and I was just a few months along with our first child, he put his foot down. He said, you're not going to get involved with anything right now. And I think it stayed that way until after she was born, because he wanted me to have a chance to rest. I think that's pretty wise, don't you? Now, the getting enough sleep. This next one I know is much easier to say than it is to do. But try to get to bed earlier. Try to rearrange that schedule so that even if it's a half hour, still that's 30 blissful moments of sleep, right? Try. I'll try too. Like I said, I know it's easier said than done. Sleep help. You know, that poor sleep. I have a problem with that myself. It can be pain. It can be because my mind is racing. So there are some things that you can do don't have that deep, serious discussion with your spouse or your child right before bed. You know, the one where everybody goes to bed really upset. Yeah, don't do that. This one's going to be hard. Stay off the phone, the tablet, the computer for at least an hour before bedtime. My neurologist told me this. Actually, he said more than an hour, but I'll say at least an hour. How about a little compromise there? Because there's something in that backlight that tells our brains it's time to wake up. Unfortunately, the next morning when you're sleepy because you didn't get enough sleep, it doesn't seem to work as well. So you're sitting there fighting sleep at work. Or maybe when you're behind the wheel of the car. Please don't do that. Make sure that your room is dark and quiet and cool. For some people, if it's completely quiet, you may lay there like this. There's not enough noise. So have some white noise. Maybe your fan going. Or get you something that plays the sound of birds twittering or whatever. I wouldn't recommend doing anything with falling water. That might cause a different problem. I like to have a cup of chamomile tea at the end of the day. That helps me. If you're really still having a problem with poor sleep, talk to your doctor. Now let me stop for a moment here and encourage you, if you like what you see on the writing journey, subscribe to my channel. Be sure that you ring the bell so that you get notifications of future videos. And I'll also encourage you to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Goodreads, and my Amazon author page. Sometimes we're too sick to write. Wow, I remember when I had a bad cold about a month or so ago. I mean, I was able to get up out of bed. Now, some people, like if they get the flu or something, even getting out of bed isn't going to happen. But, you know, I had no energy. I couldn't even think straight. If I had tried to write while I had the worst of that cold, God only knows what kind of gibberish would have come out. But I couldn't even think of doing it because I didn't have any energy. And I bet a lot of you can relate to that. Colds, COVID, the flu, strep throat, you can fill in the blank. Maybe you have a family member who is sick, a spouse, your child, and you have to take time to take care of that patient. And, you know, especially like if it's your spouse and y'all do share the housework, well, your spouse's load just came on you. So you're taking care of your sick patient, you're taking care of the housework, kids, if you've got kids at home, that's extra work. So what do? What could I do? When Darren and I had that cold, both of us had the cold at the same time. We won't discuss what happened to housework during that week. But you have to prioritize. And health comes first. Your health, your family's health. So, you know, if you get a little extra dust, just close your eyes or look away from it. That dust isn't going anywhere. Take advantage of quiet moments. When you're, especially if it's your child, you know, when your child is sick and they want mommy or they want daddy, tell me a story, bring me some soup. I don't feel good. But when that little one is resting or sleeping, you rest and sleep too. You might not feel up to writing during that time. Jot notes. Just jot a little note to yourself. Or my husband's always telling me to use the recording function on my phone. As soon as I figure it out, I'll do that. Or just allow your imagination to go. That'll give you the seeds for some stories or help you with the story that you're already working on. Try to think of something besides your anxiety about that sick loved one. Now, of course, if your sick loved one is really, really in the hospital kind of sick, that anxiety is certainly understandable. But I'm talking about, especially as parents, and that little one gets sick and is running a fever, we worry, don't we? So try, once you know the child is resting, is fine, will get well, let your imagination go back to your writing. And cut yourself some slack. Writing's a journey. It's like it's a marathon, not a sprint. Think cross country. If you need to, set the writing aside for a little while. Rest, recuperate, take care of your family. It's okay to give yourself some slack there. Writing takes time, dedication, and energy. And if we're worn out, we're sick, it might be necessary to just take time off to rest and get well. Once we're well, once we're rested, we're ready to pick it up and get back to it and keep writing. Have a great week.